All right. Hello, everyone. Super excited to be here to announce another new ecosystem partner. I'm here with Eugene and Andy from CommunityFi. Really doing a lot of cool stuff in New York City with food pantries. And well, I'm going to let them kind of tell the story here because I'm not the one to do it, but super excited to have them on. Eugene and Andy, good morning. Nice to see you. And why don't you give everyone kind of a little intro about yourselves and tell us about what CommunityFi is doing.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jacob, by the way, for having us. We're really, really excited. What a great opportunity. We're really excited about the Helium ecosystem. So it's really a great opportunity for us to talk about our passion and what we're doing in the community. So a little background about myself, and I'll hand it over to Andy. My name is Eugene McGrath with CommunityFi here. And my background is completely tech. So I've been in tech since I was 18. So doing the math, that's quite a while. I'm getting a little bit up there in years.
You don't have to tell our ages. It's all right. Yeah.
And in all the different parts of the space, from things like virtualization, server, storage, networking, and a little bit of everything. And really, my passion is using technology to solve problems. Right, a career engineer. I've always been in that engineering field, and so I love finding a problem that needs to be solved and find how can we improve the business outcomes or the outcomes for organizations. And I specifically have a passion around a few different things. So my family, number one, just had a new baby a few weeks ago, which is awesome. Love being a dad. And secondly, really giving back. How can we make the world a better place? And I know a lot of the members here of the Helium community share that same passion about using technology to improve the world. And so I've had some great opportunities over the years to find these opportunities, and like I built classrooms in Vietnam and things like that. So that's really, those are my two passions, my family and finding ways to improve the world a little bit more. So
very cool.
Andy, over to you.
So thanks, Eugene. Like Eugene, my entire career has been in the IT industry as well. I was very fortunate that I knew in 8th grade at 14 years old what I wanted to do. And I've been in a variety of positions since. Eugene and I actually met, we were co-workers at a very well-known tech company, and we've been close friends ever since. I share his passion, which is why I think we get along so well, helping society, helping folks out there that are in need with technology.
Absolutely. And I definitely echo that sentiment. And I think the most important thing is when you start any business venture, it's about having a partner that has that same mindset, that same passion, that same drive, and also that brings strengths to areas where you might be a little weaker, right? I'm not a finance guy. I'm not a entrepreneur, right? I'm an engineer. And Andy brings a lot of those skills to CommunityFi, which is why we've it's been so impactful for us. And to echo what Andy said, we started off with working for the same tech company, and we started off CommunityFi with this kind of crypto mindset, right? It was this mindset of I want to deploy antennas, and these antennas will mine things. And I'm sure the image on the left everyone is familiar with. You get a bunch of miners, right? You have them, you put them out there. We did make the conscious decision initially to only deploy outdoor antennas, and the reason for us is that we had a 5-year goal of we want to get into sensors, maybe not today, but we want to do that. And so we deployed quite a few of these. Obviously our stack of miners is a lot larger than that now, but we deployed these antennas all over the place, all over our local area in New York, Long Island, and really with the goal of being able to have all these hotspots mining and so forth, like everyone else. But we quickly realized that there was a really strong technology need out there, and so we actually changed our entire business plan to, okay, maybe it won't be 3 years. We'll get sensors off the ground. It'll be 3 months, and that's actually how accelerated our timeline was. And so we've been spending the last couple of months fine tuning and deploying these sensor solutions for refrigeration sensors, motion sensors, a whole a number of different needs. But I don't want to get too much into that because I know you have other questions for me, and we'll talk a little bit more about that after that. Any thoughts, Andy?
What started as a small idea has really grown more than either of us ever anticipated.
Yeah.
And we're actually at a point where we've had to take on additional help for the various deployments.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have, I think. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So you said you started CommunityFi with kind of a crypto mindset at the beginning. So what solutions does CryptoFi kind of solve for the customers now today?
Yeah, so what we did was we looked at our local geography and we look at what's the need locally. And so it started off with four major areas. One of the great use cases for helium is around residential. And the reason I say that is if you think about vacant homes, one of the big problems we have are things like squatters or water leaks and things like that, right? But these homes, they don't have power, they don't have internet in many cases. So being able to use sensors that have that can talk over a distance, that can communicate over distance is really, really key. And that's what Helium has built. And the fact that the data credits are so inexpensive to use, it means that we can place these sensors here, move them later on to someplace else. And so working with real estate companies to be able to protect their assets is huge. And, we hope that in the future, the insurance companies also take notice to this and say, you know what, if you can protect your assets, this is something that can save us hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage from water and theft and things like that, and really build out a really great solution using, helium for this particular use case. The second one is we found a real big need around tracking and health service solutions. So things like vehicle fleet tracking, right? There's a huge use case there for customers, but also around what I call people tracking, and not really like the Big Brother kind of thing you're thinking of, but like we all have family, elderly or children with special needs and so forth. And so being able to have wearables with like what CareBand is doing, if you're familiar with CareBand, another ecosystem partner, like being able to provide these type of technologies so that you always know your loved one's taken care of, they're always safe, right? Or the same thing for your pets, your furry friends, your furry family members, right? So that's the second area that we really focus on. And then two others are around food and beverage services. There's a number of different kind of avenues with that we're going to talk a lot more about when we talk about CommunityFi for Good. But really, it's really, really important that that different organizations as well as restaurants are able to track their inventory and also understand if their refrigeration breaks over the weekend. They need to know right now because that's their entire livelihood, right?
Yeah.
And so things like refrigeration sensors as well as motion sensors in a lot of cases, and tracking to make sure that their product gets to the end location if they have a delivery service, right? All these things are so important. And then the fourth one is we live in one of the major wine regions in the United States. You may not have known that. It's not as big as Sonoma or Napa or Columbia Valley, but Long Island has a very, very strong wine region out here. And so agriculture is really passionate. We're really passionate about agriculture because there's a real big need for these wineries, in my mind, to keep up or try to become like the Napa and Sonoma Valley wineries. And so we focus a lot on soil monitoring and as well as irrigation monitoring and things like that. So those are really the areas we're trying to solve. And it actually took a little step beyond that, really, because when we started to reach out to our network, we realized that there was a greater need, and there's a need in the entire country that is very, very sensitive and we're really, really passionate about, and that's what we call our CommunityFi for Good. So we've actually put together a program for, specifically right now, we're working with food pantries and food banks, but we can expand this to any nonprofit. And if you know anything about food pantries and food banks, they have shoestring budgets. They almost never have they would never have money for these type of solutions, technology solutions, right? Because they're just trying to pay rent and they're trying to provide a vital community service, which is to provide food to people in need. And so we started CommunityFi for Good, utilizing helium, and we could only do this with helium, right? To provide service to these organizations at no cost, things like temperature monitoring, because a temperature sensor on their refrigerators, if their refrigerators die in the week and they don't know about it, that could be 100 meals that families are losing out on. If you just think about the need, especially when we talk about hunger in the United States, there's a huge need there. So 100 meals is pretty impactful. And so we've designed an entire business strategy around being able to provide these at no cost to community organizations, because we have helium tokens and so forth, and that the antennas provide, and we use that to subsidize the cost of these solutions. So what we've done is built a huge amount, a huge footprint within these pantries and food banks to really make sure that those among us who are in need help are always being served to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
What do you think, Andy?
Real fast, Eugene, sorry to interrupt there. Just to clarify for the audience, I mean, is this around New York City locally only right now, or are you kind of spread out across the US, or are there kind of plans to do that?
So today we are New York, centrally based. We're working through a network of food banks, and so the one we work with the most here is Island. We work with Island Harvest, which is a food bank here in New York, as well as Long Island Lending a Helping Hand is another one of our partners, which is one of the pantries, and we're growing from there. So we work mainly in New York. We'd love to deploy this to any food pantry, or maybe work with other community members to build similar solutions across the country, and that's one of our passions. So
cool.
So what do you think, Andy?
It's funny how the opportunity to give back actually turned into a significant part of our business, which couldn't be accomplished without Helium. The low cost of accessing the Helium network for groups like this who really don't have a very large budget at all from the technology perspective is definitely a win-win for all around.
Yeah, we couldn't do it without Helium.
Awesome. I mean, that kind of leads right into my next question, Andy. You sort of answered it. Yeah. Why did you choose to use Helium? You talked about the low cost. Any other reasons why you decided to land with Helium?
Yeah, I think that there is. Well, the first thing is the low cost is key, right? And if we're putting out these devices, and these devices are able to access other people's antennas, right, and so forth, that it's important that it's low cost, because we are providing these services at no cost, and we're collecting Helium tokens on the back end, right? So the second thing that's key is also that that Helium is that public network, right? So if we have a user who has one of these, motion sensors, and they want to move it to another house, it's important that they're able to do that and also still have connectivity. And so what makes Helium great versus private LoRaWAN networks is that if I have a GPS tracker, it can move and it can ping off of another antenna, and we're helping everyone in the community, right, by doing that. And that's a really, really key part of our business model, and why Helium is absolutely key to what we do for those use cases. And I did steal some of your thunder, I think, Andy. I apologize.
No worries. But I wanted to add on what Eugene said about Island Harvest and the Long Island Lending a Helping Hand, one of the many food pantries that where we have installs at. The partnership has had such an impact on their business via a combination of technology and fundraising efforts that they've actually asked Eugene to become a member of the board of directors as a technology advisor,
awesome.
which is right up his alley.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Yeah.
Perfect. How about exciting stats? People in the community always love to hear big numbers, do you have any you can share with us, like number of devices, number of users, like even number of like meals that are being served because, you guys are helping them out at food pantries, anything like that you guys can kind of brag about?
Yeah, I mean, from a sensor standpoint, with our latest order, well over 100, but it's not that impressive right now. But what to me is impressive is, as of right now, we have sensors protecting about 1,000 meals per week, and that's an important piece, right? That's 1,000 families that, or a large number of families that rely on those that those products are safe for consumption and so forth, right? What's really impactful to me from a stat standpoint is that our goal is to hit 250,000 meals per week. We want to protect 250,000 meals per week through things like temperature sensors and delivery tracking and things like that, and provide that service and help those food pantries be more efficient and help them reduce loss and waste, right? And so that's really what we're focusing on. And the other area for those food pantries, a lot of times these food pantries are in areas where theft may be prevalent. And so providing them additional services like motion sensors that can run off the Helium network, and room sensors and leak detection if their boiler breaks, right? So really providing all the coverage that they need in order to run their business and provide a vital service to our communities. And so we've had a lot of support from the community about this. And so we hope that this continues to grow, and we hit our goal of 250,000 meals would be fantastic.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yep. And, what do you think, to add on, through the food pantries, we're actually expanding our efforts to their suppliers, such as grocery stores and local businesses that support their cause. It's a great opportunity to solve new challenges for other customers. And that's the exciting part of being in the IoT smart sensor space, engineering a solution for different customer problems and needs. And you just have to be aware, you know, keep it in mind as you come across different individuals and different businesses. The possibilities are endless of these folks who can utilize these sensors. Fishermen, you know, tracking their crab, fishermen and fisherwomen, all right, to be politically correct, right? For tracking their traps as well. Theft is a problem out on the high seas. So, you know, there's no limit to the technology.
Yeah, no, I always think it's really cool seeing all the different use cases enabled in the ecosystem. Things like you just mentioned, Andy, I never would have thought of that were possible, you know, or that people would come up with. But yeah, Helium enables a lot of those things. Very cool. You know, we're kind of wrapping up here. Do you guys have any teasers for any kind of like upcoming partnerships, upcoming releases, things that you might have on the horizon that you want, you know, the community to know about?
Yeah. So a lot of our entire business is driven by need, right? We have customers who come to us and say we need this. That's the whole food pantry business started with that. With the food pantry said, oh, we'd love it if you were able to do X, Y, and Z. Hey, guess what? We can, and it kind of grew like wildfire. So we recently had some individuals approach us about GPS tracking for a number of different use cases, not just on-road vehicles, but off-road vehicles, all sorts of things, right? Just protecting anything that moves. Let's put it that way. So we are focusing very heavily on that to build a specific offering around that, to make it really simple for them to consume, to use, and to use CommunityFi. And kind of along those lines, we realized that this is a great opportunity for us to help mentor or help other parts of the Helium community by taking out some of the guesswork, maybe some of that engineering. And so what we're putting together also is what we call CommunityFi for all. And what that is let's say you have hosts out there and they are more interested in water leak protection and so forth. We can provide a service to any member of the Helium community by providing by onboarding, building the dashboard, which looks like this, right? Building dashboard, setting up alerting, so that if you're not technical, but you're a member of the community, the Helium community, we'll take care of all the back end. We'll build a dashboard, your own customized dashboard for you. You can send sensors out to you and build a business around that. And we do all the back end work. So think of it as sensor as a service. Yeah. That's what we're really building, because we want to enable the entire community to deploy whatever use case is important to them. And you may not be technical. So we want to help bridge that gap. So CommunityFi for all is something we're really passionate about, to help anyone within the community grow that business. So we plan to provide this in the very near future at a set price per sensor per month that is affordable for anyone in the community. And so they can deploy rapidly and deploy as many as they can, because we want everybody using the network, right? We want everyone to see that journey from crypto to really fantastic technology company. And so that's what we're working on there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Like everyone else, when we started, we were paying folks to host our hotspots.
Yeah.
We quickly realized that the hosts were more interested in protecting their home, their vehicle, and other assets. Implementing sensors such as leak detection, motion sensors, GPS tracking, as Eugene mentioned, benefits us from a profitability per host standpoint. For example, imagine if you're normally paying a host $20 per month to host the hotspot, and instead they would rather have 2 or 3, 4 sensors in their house, costing you $10 per month. That's more profit to you and less expenses incurred.
Yeah.
This also gives your hosts a consistent, tangible benefit every month.
Yeah, it's that benefit that's so key. It's really that benefit that's so key, that they have something they can see, they can touch it, and it's providing an actual benefit to them. Because most people don't care about that $10 or $20, right? A lot, if we admit it, a lot of people don't, but they care about the utility of how this can change their lives. We have one of the food pantries. They said they had one of the members had a refrigeration leak. It cost them $3,000 to repair the damage. Wow. Whereas if they had a temperature a water leak detection sensor, they would have known right away that they could have squashed the whole thing. But because they don't go to the basement very often, it was leaking for days, right? And so that having a water leak detection sensor in those use cases would have saved them thousands of dollars. So a lot of people care more about that than a few dollars a month. In our opinion.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. And we see this all the time with just making it Helium enabled sensors, just make things easier for people. Like you said, you're not going down to the basement to check the rat traps. You're not going down and check for water leaks, all those types of things. You can just see it on a dashboard, get alerts, and fix it right away.
Peace of mind.
Oh, sorry. Go, Eugene.
Oh, no, absolutely. It's just peace of mind. You're right.
Yeah.
You can't put a price on peace of mind, right?
Definitely. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up a little bit, but one thing I do want to mention to the community is Eugene and Andy have graciously volunteered to speak at our Helium House New York City event coming up September 20th. So if you guys want to hear more about what CommunityFi is doing in their local city, actually, it will be in New York. You guys are from New York. It's perfect. Come check that out and look up helium.com/house, and we can register for that. But in New York City, September 20th, we're super excited to have you guys on stage with us to talk a little bit more about what you're doing, how you're using Helium. So appreciate that, and appreciate you guys coming on, and super excited to have you as new ecosystem partners.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jacob.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Take care, everyone.